Dear student, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, everybody? I hope you are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. I am also fine, Alhamdulillah. Today, I am going to take an online class for the student of class 10, subject Islam and Moral Education, chapter 4, lesson 22, topic Riba and Bribery. I am Imdi Abdus Salam, senior teacher, Iskar School and College, Babna. Look at the pictures below and think. Dear student, can you guess these pictures indicate to which topic? Interest and bribe. Our today's topic, Riba and bribery. Now, learning outcome. After this lesson, student will be able to know about the definition of riba and bribery. Will be able to explain the demerits and fate of riba and bribe. Will refrain from transaction of riba and bribery in their life. Now the introduction of riba. Sud is a Persian word and its literally means interest, profit, but is used technically in the sense of riba in Arabic. The additional amount claimed on a loan given to someone is called riba, that means interest. Now the concept of riba in Islam. At the time of the advent of Holy Prophet ﷺ, it took the shape of a business or trade. In many societies of the world, including the Arabian, it had become a custom. As its outcome, the rich would become richer and the poor still poorer. It was another name for exploitation, so Islam declared it haram. There are many who equate riba with profit, but virtually both are not the same. For in riba, there remains no risk of loss, and so far as profit is concerned, it ruins the risk of loss. In defining riba, Rasulullah says, كل قرض جرى نفعا فهو riba, meaning any profit earned by a loan is riba. Jami Sagir. Realizing any kinds of profit by the lender from the borrower is riba. For instance, a person given a loan of taka 100 to another man on condition that the loanee shall pay taka 110 to the lender. In this case, taka 10 is riba. For this has got no exchange value. Riba is not confined to transactions of money, goods, etc. only. Rather, such extra amount in case of the transaction of the same or similar categories of goods will come under its domain. For instance, taking more than one kg of rice, or alternatively 1 kg of rice and some other extra materials in return for a loan of 1 kg rice will be treated as riba. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has explicitly said, any amount of excess of the amount of loan of a certain category of articles such as extra gold for gold, silver for silver, barley for barley, date for date, salt for salt, etc. will be riba. Muslim. Now the introduction of bribery. Bribery means excess gain, unlawful demand in cash or kind, taking or demanding money, wealth, benefits, or advantage in excess of what is due or normal claim is bribe. The officers and employees of an institution receive certain amount of salary or allowance in return for their work. But if they illegally take or claim anything extra in addition to their pay for this work, that excess gain is bribe. For instance, it is bribery on the part of an officer if money is extracted by him from a person by withholding his file. In other words, illegally realizing such things or benefits by anyone not within his right is bribe. Similarly, offer of extra money or benefits for illegal gain by anyone to any man in authority is also bribery. Transaction of bribe is noticeable in society in various forms. Men generally offer bribe in terms of money for getting their dishonest purposes served. Besides money, bribe is exchanged in kind also in the form of television, phrase, ornaments, ready-made flat, etc. In truth, whatever is the price of the article exchanged or the amount of bribe in money, little or huge, it is all haram. Riba, that means usury and bribery, are heinous financial crimes. Their demerits and harmfulness are very dreadful. Usury generate economics disparity in society. The rich become richer and the poor is still poorer. As a result, class discrimination crop up in society. The way to mutual love, affection, and cooperation is closed. National growth and economic development are retarded. people do not feel encouraged towards investment. Rather, whether is investment in a productive sector like usury, as a result, investment in the country diminished and national development in thwarted. Bribery also breeds unrest in society. A person who is given or takes bribe neglects his duties and misappropriates amanat, that means trust. He misused his power and responsibilities. Both recipient and offerer of bribe transgress the rights of other. As a result, there starts enmity of the affected party with them. Quarrel, discord, and strife get the upper hand in society. In fact, the damaging effect of both usury and bribery are very severe. This brings in moral degradation in society. Under the spell of usury and bribery, man loses moral and human qualities. Rather, the cultivation of dishonesty and evil habits gets momentum. This is spread in man greed and avarice, wastefulness and sinfulness. Very often for the lure of extra income from usury and bribery, men indulge in various types of criminal activities. Crimes like terrorism, hijack, highway robbery, murder, bomb, etc. Rasulullah ﷺ said, a society given to zina, that means illicit sex, falls prey to severe famine, and a society immersed in transaction of bribes becomes engulfed by fear and terror. Musnad Ahmad. The impact of usury and bribery is very harmful in terms of socio-economic advancement. From a religious point of view, its baneful effects are very pervasive. Wealth and properties acquired by usury and bribery are haram, illegal, and haram is not entertainable under any circumstance. The ibadat of a person is not accepted if his body is nourished by haram food and his dresses is obtained through haram money. Allah the Most High doesn't grant even his dua, that means supplication. Person involved in usury and bribery are condemned by both Allah and His Rasul as they are hated by other men. Both Allah and His Rasul curse and then the person involved in usuries practice and bribery. It has been thus mentioned in a hadith. La'ana Rasulullahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam akila riba mu'walikahu wa katibahu wa shahidai, meaning the generous Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has cursed a usurer, a riba, payer, and giver, scribe of a riba contract, and witness thereof. Muslim. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said as far thus, Lanatullahi ala rashi wal murtashi, meaning Allah's curse is on both the offerer and the recipient of bribe. Bukhari and Muslim. The consequence of transaction of riba and bribe is awful. This turns a man fit for Allah's damnation. Even in this life of the world, Allah the Most High holds him in His grip. The Holy Prophet ﷺ says, إذا جوهر الزنا والربا في قريات فقد حلوا بأنفسهم عذاب الله, meaning when illicit sex, that means zina, rape, and riba spread in an epidemic form in a village or country, Allah's punishment for the inhabitants thereof become inevitable. Mustadrak al-Hakim. The transactors of riba and bribe will find their place in Jahannam. On the day of Qiyamah, he will face terrible punishment. Starting the condition of the usurer, one who takes riba, Allah the Most High says, those who take interest riba will stand like a man whom the devil rendered mad by his task. This is so because they say that buying, selling is just like usury. Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat 275. As for the fate of the bribe eater, Rasulullah says, Ar-Rashi wal-Murtashi kilahuma finnar, meaning bribe offerer and bribe eater, both of them are Jahannamis. Tabarani. In another hadith, Rasulullah has narrated the peculiar punishment waiting the bribe eater. It is related in hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam employed a person to collect zakat from Ajad tribe. His name was Ibnul Lutbiyah. He, zakat collector, returned afterwards and said to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "This is your portion," that means zakat, "and this portion I received as present." On ascending the mimbar pulpit, Rasulullah paid praises to Allah and said, of the post put under my custody, by Allah I employ someone from among you He becomes back from the assignment and says, "These are your portion and these are mine, personal, present for me." Why does not this man keep sitting in his parents' house? If he truthful, then he will have this all sent to him there. By Allah, if anyone from among you accept anything without right, unauthorized, he will appear before Allah on the day of Qiyamah carrying those things along. So I don't want to witness anyone of you in such state as he carries a camel and it will keep wrong, or a cow and it will be lowing, or a goat and it will be bleating. Ba, ba. Then he raised both hands so high that the witness of his armpit becomes visible. He then invoked Allah's testimony thus: "O Allah, have I conveyed your command?" and repeated it thrice. Bukhari and Muslim. Riba and bribe have been explicitly declared as prohibited in Islam. These are lawful transactions of riba, and bribe is not lawful under any circumstance. Allah the Most High says in the Holy Quran, وَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah has declared business as halal and riba as haram. Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 275. In another ayat, Al-Quran announces thus: "O you who believes, you don't take riba in a compound rate and fear Allah." Surah Al-Imran ayat 130. Allah the Most High further says, "O you who believes, observe your duty to Allah and relinquish what remains due from usury if you are true believers." Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 278. Transaction of bribe too is haram and unlawful. Allah the Most High says, "And don't slough up your property among yourself." By poll means neither seek to gain access thereby to the judges, so that you slough up a part of the property of man wrongfully and knowingly. Surah Al-Baqarah at 188. Riba and bribes are haram under all circumstances. It is as haram to take as to offer. Similarly, taking and giving of riba Both are haram and equal offenses. Even more, lying with riba is a sin. Rasulullah has cursed them all who are somehow or other linked with it. In fact, riba and bribe both are heinous sins. Rasulullah has warned men against these in many of his hadiths. Transaction of riba and bribes are very detestable act. Men of principles and human values can never commit such act. We too shall refrain our transaction of riba and bribe. Now the homework. And Allah has declared business as halal and riba as haram. Explain the ayat with the logic. Allah Hafiz.